Hey everybody, just got done doing a talk with the Pomeranian Leute, talked about land records, and I thought why not do a follow-up video and show you basically how to navigate and find the stuff for yourself online. I really believe in empowering you to do what you need to do for your family history, and I can do endless talks on stuff on how you can find your family history, but unless you actually know how to do it, it's kind of dead knowledge. So if you head to my website and when it loads, at least at the time of the video, you're going to see a view inventory. Got a few buttons below here, so view our records will get you there too. Or you could go from um, databases and see our inventory. That's going to get you to where we have all of our books, all of the things that we have digitized that we want you to be able to have access to as well. Because realistically, if somebody digitizes it, what good does it do if it sits on somebody's hard drive for an eternity? um, it does no good whatsoever. So on our inventory, you can look through up to 100 records a page. You can search it by title, by place, by the Christ that it's in, province if you're looking at somewhere outside of Pomerania. I've got some from the United States. I've got some that are from Neumark, for example. You can limit the year start or the year end and kind of like get it between a time frame. I would not necessarily think that this is as helpful. Just based on the limited number of records that we have, I wouldn't further, shrink it down. You can even look by type, and these are also kind of limited, but lots of different types of land record. If you want to get super specific to it, if you want to just keep it general, different guilds, things like that. Otherwise, just keep it open. And let's say I wanted to search for rootso. This is a good one to show because it's going to come up with nothing because there's actually an umlaut in the U. So you could use a wildcard if you want. Let's try that. Oh, it's not going to let me do it with a wildcard. You can do it with the umlaut. There we go. Rootso. And it's going to come up with all of the villages. So really important to know if you're looking to do something that has an umlaut, make sure you include it. Some of them have alternative spellings that are not going to show up, so like the UE. Otherwise, you can do like a global search. And let's say I was looking for root, so there, the wildcard should work. No, they got rid of that feature. Okay, so you'll still want to include the correct spelling of it. And as you scroll through, it's going to give you not just potentially in one county, you'll see one that's in Dromberg and not just Kolberg, Courland. So you can specify, you can organize them by name, by date if you want to. All the ones that have a view book on it is the link that you're going to want to click on to get to the actual record set. So for example, if I wanted to see the book that I just clicked on, it's going to open up in Google Drive and you can view it on here. Now I'm a little picky. I don't like waiting. You see the pages as they load like that. It takes an extra half a second. I am very quick at reading through records. I prefer to throw them on a tablet. I like to just have them open and read them. So rather than looking in a browser window, if you want to, read the full collection, like you should be able to, you just right click on it and download the whole thing. And it'll pop up in a window and say that it's downloading. Might take it a minute to get there. There we go. Preparing download, so it's zipping the file. It's going to download to your computer. And you just unzip it and move it wherever you want the files to go. I'm just going to cancel this so it doesn't take too long. Because everything that we do is all about empowering you. It drives me nuts when you go to another website and they're like, you can download 10 daily download limits for free. It's like, if it's open source, if it's free anyways, I don't care. Start your own website. Have a second copy of these records. We need to keep them online. We've had too many websites go down that no longer exist. Pomeranian database being one of them. You can also click over here and see more details about it. So if you want to look up the reference number, sometimes there are further details on there. I'm not seeing a ton of extra details. So when I click on it, this one has some more. So you're going to see the title, you're going to see the province, you'll see, comments, Gesellschaft for the Forderung of Intercolonization. So sometimes there are additional comments that I add on there just to help out. Some books are duplicates of other books, so it's a second copy. There's 2 copies of the filming of it. So this is where you can find it, at least on our records portal on our website. But let's say that you want to find something and it's not located here, right? You've already typed in whatever your search keyword is, Podoville, for example. You've searched through and you're like, well, the book that I'm looking for is not here. What can I do? The first thing I would do is click on databases and scroll through the list of resources. These are not ours. This is how the website that I started here actually began. This was where I kept all of my links so that people could find things, so that I could find things that I'd stumbled upon without having to go through, weeks of searching back through history trying to figure out exactly which site I went to. The top part, kind of the basics. Below that, less of basics, a little bit more advanced things like, let's say I wanted to search for a person. There's the PTG. There's the Greif index. There's the ZTG. And all of these will load, and I'll kind of show you here. They just redid this website, so it looks a lot different. And this is all in Polish, so I'm going to click on the English icon so I can understand it. So I can search through cemeteries, vital records, or memorials. Vital records is one of the bigger ones at the what is this one? The PTG. And you can search for people by name or surname. This is where you can still use wildcards. That's why it was throwing me a little bit off that I'm somehow not able to do it on mine. Thought I was. Anyways, so if I was looking for a surname, if I was looking for a specific, they used to have it by village here too. So if you wanted to have civil registry office, and these are all in Polish, you're able to select from that. If you wanted to have, quite frankly, if you're in an area that has more Polish sounding names, DM stands for Dej Modokov. It's kind of a sound X that allows it to kind of get close to your surname, and then you can search for that name. I'm just going to do Dvorsky. And when I hit search, I am currently looking through, not sure what I'm looking through yet. Here we go. So they've got births, marriages, and deaths, and apparently they limit you to 300 now. It used to be you could search and you'd get pages and pages and pages. But you can look through and see all of the names that are similar. This is one database. The Greif X is another one. So with this, if I were to do Dvorsky phonetic search, I could limit it to a Kreis. I could limit it to Stanislav or church book. I could limit it to a time period. When I hit search, you're going to see more records on here. So it's going to pull in from the church book of Lupo. You're seeing a lot of different names on there. I'm not seeing as many as there used to be. I'm not sure what happened there. These are all pulled in from stolp.de, which I'm just going to go to really quick just to show you that. So if I go here and I go to, what am I looking at? Familienforschung. So if you're looking at Stolp, Lauenburg, Buto, kind of in that region, sometimes Schlave, this is a great place to look at their global index. And then before you do anything else, do 100 results per page and change it. Just makes life a little easier. And then if you want to enter in, unfortunately they don't have a sound X, but you can enter in the name and it'll show you there's 116 results. So I definitely wasn't seeing everything there is from the last, what was it, the PTG. If I go back and I search, I can also use wildcards. So I could put in, depends on the website, usually either a % or a star. This one's going to be a % sign. If I wanted to end up having it be, has to include D, W, R, S, and K. This is going to come up with a ton of results. And I can, well, I guess it's not. I forgot to put in the % sign at the end. And when I search, instead of 3, it's going to give me 600. You're seeing Dvorsky, and I mean, here's the Vertrieben list of people who ended up getting kicked out of Germany. This is a birth date that's being listed here. And as you scroll through, you'll see like a lot of different listings. This was my go-to with during surname search until I figured out that I couldn't link my family up to them. So stolp.de is a good one to try. The Zakidnio Pomorski, This is their page for it, and they use Pomeranian Indexy, which I need to link in. But you can search through their index here. I tend to like this more than the Gryphex, just because even though I think the Gryphex updates theirs first. This one gives me a little bit more control to search through and see. Let's just take Lemke, for example. There's 20 pages of examples. They're like 200 deep. You can see who the father was, who the mother was, mother's maiden name. So if I wanted to like narrow it down, if I wanted to narrow it down to has to have the last name of Cat, boom, all of the Lemkes that had a mother with the last name of Cat. If there was, maybe it was Neitzel, for example, and I wanted to have somebody who married Preby, all the Preby Neitzel family, or you could also, because there's marriages and deaths, I'll just leave that there for a minute. It'll show you people who died with the same sort of criteria. You can also put it in the spousal area, and that's going to help for marriages and deaths. It's totally useless for births, but for marriages, you can see all the people who had that last name pairing. And for deaths, you typically will see the same thing as well. This is my go-to. I love this one. It's very user-friendly. And then we've got, let's see if I can find it on here. It's matrikigenbaza.pl. Here we go. If you click on that link, they've redone it. You've got a couple others that you can click on here that bring you to various other databases, Polish genealogy being one of them. So a similar search. Pomorski is also there, so Pomerania. I would recommend registering because when you register, it's going to give you a login and you'll get to see more records that are on here. For example, if I go to Koszalin, members only, they have to be approved, can see the Acta Rojana. There's another one called Novi. Any of the records that are new, for example, you'll be able to see, should be at the top. I'm not seeing it because I'm not logged in, but you'll end up seeing that there's new records, and there are tons of land records on there, tons of notarial records and other things like that. And if you've never used Matrikigenbaza before, this is like the go-to. They've merged some stuff from other sites. All of the land records that they've taken pictures of should be in here. Church books, civil registers, sometimes not the marriage certificates, but like the banns, so before getting married. And they're listed by their Polish names, but typically if you do a Control F for search and find, you'll be able to find, Kolberg, for example, or if I want Koszalin. You can then, search down the page for the village that you're looking for. Highly recommend this website, by the way. Indexy, I think they've redone it because they used to have all of the books online where you could see them. Now I believe they're all migrated to Matrikigenbaza. They're essentially one and the same. Other places you can look for records, I'd say the Kolberger Landa is a good one for it. So just like Stolp has their own, Kolberg has their own as well. Some of these are in, some of these are not in the Gryphex. So if you click on Kolbeck's, they've moved it down here. If you click on this, you can type in the name you're looking for, and it's going to give you all of the people that are listed. Fantastic database. Some of these, like these GB, it's Gemeindeblätter, so it's a church leaflet, should be public record. You have to email them and essentially ask for a scan of it if they can. And some of these are different, like address books, for example, Standesamt. But you can search here. It's another way you can go about it. I'm going to go back to my website. If you're looking Deutsche Kron area, Rosentreter Foundation's a great one. They've got a similar mindset to us. They've listed them all out by province, by area that you're looking in. They've got some Posen records. And as you open up each collection, you're going to be able to see what they have. They've got Kreis Landsberg and Torno. Let's go to the previous one. So they've organized Brandenburg, so Neumark into Brandenburg, Posen. So if we look at Pomerania, they've got it all based on the villages in each Kreis. See if I can find. Let's see here. See if I can find Deutsche Krone on here. Probably West Prussia. There we go. So lots of Deutsche Krone records on there. And the beautiful thing is they're all online. You can click on the download icon. It's going to process, and you can get the full book just like you can on our website. It's going to download for you. If you look up in the corner, you're going to see it's downloading. Just a beautiful way of making sure that there's not a single copy that's restricted, that everyone anywhere can be able to see it. Have another copy, and if some website, God forbid, goes down, you have a copy of it somewhere. Other things, Ortsfamilienbücher and Compgen. Here you can find all the Ortsfamilienbücher or the OFBs. Scroll down, you can find, in most cases for Pomerania, they're in Pomerania. Some of them might be under like military areas. I'm just gonna do that. There we go. So you got Vorpommern, and then you've got Pomerania. Here we've got the Ulan Regiment. If you go into, I'm going to do Schiefelbein just because I'm really familiar with it. You can search through family names. You can search through birthplaces or death places, marriage places, place that they were employed. Let's the Andromen for last entries that they just put in. So if you want to see since the last time you looked, the last update, you don't have to search through the entire collection to look for it. Otherwise, if you're just looking for a specific name, let's do this. Gesamte basically means all. So if I click L, I can do Lemke. That's a fairly common one. That's going to bring up a lot of results. And I'm going to search for that again. Just Control F. There's 400 of them in here. So you're looking at like all the different places. Ones with the rings talk about marriages. You can see the places within the county. And just scroll through and look for the names you're looking for. Or again, hey, it finished downloading. Or again, Control F and just type in, maybe his name was Albert, and you're looking for 25 different people named Albert. Yours might be listed in there. Also with genealogy.net, if you click on Metasuche, this is going to give you the ability to search for your name throughout every place in every one of these databases. Can be very helpful. Oh, yeah, why not? Let's just do my name. Sorry. Let's try that again. It's going to come up with no results because there's nobody with that name. Let's do Davus. It's close enough to mine. So it's going to search, and it's going to give you all of the different databases it's searched through. So it looks like there's one in Baltimore, 2 entries actually in Baltimore. There's one from Hoya, which looks like it was a Prussian infantry. And then a similar one, Debush, which is, this one's always interested me. Apparently born in Croatia. He's 19 years old. By marriage, 19 years old. He was Croatian. And this is from Neuenberg am Rhein. So this is not even in Pomerania. But that'll give you a search through basically every database that's on here, and you can kind of fine-tune it as you need to. What else do we have? Here's one that I like to highlight, the Quellensuche. I've already got it up here. If there's a place that you want to know and you're looking to figure out what records still exist, typically you're probably starting out looking for birth, marriage, death records. So let's say I was looking for Kleinrambin. And by the way, this is really picky about spelling. If you're spelling it differently than what's in their system, it's not going to pick it up. So if I click on Kleinrambin, it's going to show me what is still available for this village. So it'll tell me, the Gemeinde, Amtsgericht, Amtsbezirk, Standesamt, the church that it should have been to, so Arnhausen, where the Catholic Church would have been to. And as I scroll down, I'm able to see the Standesamt Grossrambin still exists for birth and death. These are fully online. Should also be marriage. Not sure why marriage is not showing up on there. It is on Matriki Genbaza. I know I indexed this one. Standesamt register. I did births, but there's more than this that's online. It should be through like 1920s now, early 1920s. You're able to see that it's in the archives. So Stanislaus Schiefelbein, so where the newer records are stored. I don't think this one's been updated in a little bit, but just because it doesn't say that it's not in Koszalin or Szczecin in their archives doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that they haven't transferred it from the physical storage location at the Stanislav. They keep them there for, I believe, 100 years before they transfer them to the larger archive. Here it's telling you that some of these have been indexed. It'll tell you through what years. And it'll also tell you what they have on Family Search. Here we see that there's church books in the archive. This one's in Szczecin. This one's also on my website if you're interested. And then they've got this one that is online by Family Search. Good luck finding it. So if we click on that link, so it says by Arnhausen. I'm not logged in. It's under lock and key. If you are logged in, you might be able to actually get into it, or it might still give you this little lock till you have to go to a family history library to get to it. The reality is this is one that is on Ancestry. So I believe this was like a contractual agreement. They digitize it and limited access. But it is online. That's for about 60 years. 60 years of history, apparently only baptisms. You're also able to see other ones. So the Catholic Church book is in the Diocese of Kolslin-Kolberg. And then it also talks about other ones. Seelenlist, so this is a list of souls. And this is in the Bundesarchiv, Lasten Ausgleich Archiv. This is essentially the list of people that lived there prior to being expelled from Pomerania, best that I know. Some places will have lists of souls prior to that. There are some that I'm looking into. But in general, you know, for most cases, if you're looking for your family, this is a great place to start if you know that they lived there prior to being expelled. So this is typically what I do to search for and see if there's any records for it. Let's go back. I'm just going to type in Seeger. So if I do Seeger, it's going to show that there is, should be Stanislav. Yep, there we go. But as far as church records go, there's bupkis. There's nothing. You've got a Catholic church book from 51 to 57. That's it. That's not super helpful. And you got one from 46 to 57. So if you're looking for like Lutheran church records, yikes, right? So if you go to the Polish Shuki Archiwach, I'll show you that in just a little bit. You can search through and find other like land records and other things for that specific village. Sometimes you need to get a little creative with how you're, phrasing your search. Along with that, and if you kind of scroll through the rest of these, I recommend going to, so this is Shuki Archiwach, that's the Polish archives. That's number one, I'd say the best that you're going to find. See if any of these links still work. It's been a little while, and they've probably updated. Szczecin has some records on their website that they don't have on Shuki Archiwach. So if you're looking for any of some of these collections, like they've got Mishla Borshu, I think that is Soldin, I think. Wobzy, so Labus, Jastro, Grafitsak, Golno, Buto. I know that was a question I got. So city files of Buto, you're going to find different church books that are available. It might not be on another website. Again, a lot of these are supposed to be on Matriki Genbaza, but they're here. Other places you can search. Koszalin has some. Is this going to load or is it? Nope, they've moved it. Okay, so that one's no longer working. For a while, they had them on part of their website. I think they've moved all of them to Shuki Archiwach at this point. But you can find like older, like 1700s type material, early 1800s with lists of people on them, and their collections and books that you wouldn't suspect. Of course, again, needle in a haystack. You're digging through a lot of stuff. If you want to look at the Mecklenburg Vorpommern website, the Landeshauptarchiv website, and that's for Schwerin. The bigger ones that I look at are typically the Geheimes Staatsarchiv Preußischer Kulturbesitz, in other words, the secret state archives. If you look at the search, you can click on that and find whatever term you're looking for. So let's say that I wanted to find Rarfen. It's a small village, there's nothing there. However, if I wanted to find Belgard, which is a bigger city, boy, look at that. There's a whole lot of stuff. In fact, this is how I found for Pachtung for it. Look at that. And so it shows up the different collections. I can open them up. I can see what I want. No, these are the ones I want. I don't know if any of those are. But you see there's 11 pages, so you got to scroll through and search through a lot of it. But if you're looking for a specific village, it could be in here. This is going to be a good source for like maybe colonization or forestry or like big government matters that are important to Prussian cultural history. The Bundesarchiv, they've got an inventory here. I have no idea how to find what I'm looking for in it. I'll be completely honest. Yeah, they've got a tectonic here. You can search through it. They have put up some of their collections from like concentration camps, Nazi era type stuff. I think I wrote an article about that further back, but this is where I typically would go for looking through those records. My great-great-uncle was in a concentration camp, so really important to me. They also have immigration records. So if you're looking for people who left, part of the collection is here. Part of the collection might be under the Prussian History Archive. Part of it could be underneath the Brandenburg Landeshauptarchiv. So if I were to do a search, full text search, and if I did Auswanderungen, this is where it's important to know a little bit about your German. There we go. So here I'm finding one book. I don't know how many other books there are. There's 206 it's showing me. I could click into this and then kind of work my way back. So I'm looking here, Auswanderungen, so these are all of the collections. Stats and Gehörenheit Sachen. Let's just click up one collection number, and then you have to go to the entry in the archive plan. Here we go, localize an archive plan. And this is one I want to just touch on really quickly here. It's not easy to navigate here if you don't know what you're doing. So I went from here, opened up a book, and now I'm trying to navigate back, right? Like I want to figure out what else is there. So if I click on one that's above it and localize it in the archive plan, I can see all of the other books that are in there. So if I click on Auswanderungen, it's going to say Sammelakten and the Namensindex. So the name index is basically the index cards of people who left. And then you're also going to see the complete collections. So you're looking at typically where they immigrated to. So these are like investigations, things about people leaving, immigration of the old Lutheran separatist movement as they left for America and said goodbye Germany. At that point in Prussia, you can scroll down and see all of the books they have. So I'm waiting, and it's going to open the next 100 entries. And apparently that's it. So it's looks like these are investigations. Einwanderungen, Tagebuchen. So you've got tons of different collections that you can look through here. Above this collection, so if you're not finding what you're looking for, this one is Ein- und Auswanderungen. So you're looking at same thing, Allgemeine. If we open that up, it's going to give you different collections there. It depends on what you're looking for. So if I go back and I do full text search, I could look for, let's say Auswanderungen, Neumark. It's probably going to be Königsberg, I'm going to guess. There we go. So I'm able to localize it and find in the archive plan exactly where it's at. So this is under, see how deeply buried it is? I clicked on one that was a different collection. I could find the Sammelakten, localize an archive plan, and then it's going to be underneath here. And we're looking at all communities, those without a destination, uh, Austria, Northwest and South Europe, East Europe, so Russia, Poland, Lithuania, Romania, Asia, America is typically what you probably are looking for. And you can find it designated out by Kreis, for example, so North America and Kreis Arnswald, Cottbus, Friedeberg, Königsberg, Neumark, Lebus, Luckau, Solding. I mean, Arnswald was in Pomerania, so it's easy to kind of find some collections that might not be on my website from Stretching. But Brandenburg is a great way to kind of find some of these. They also have, and I'm not going to spend the time to look this up, but they've got a large collection of early church books that are duplicate from about the 1790s to the early 1800s, typically about a span of 10 or 15 years. None of those are digitized either. So if you're looking for a book that is in an archive and you don't know that it exists, here you go. So those are kind of my go-tos. Military for Deutsche Dienststelle. I mean, you've got like the ITS. There's tons and tons of different places you can look to. Different libraries that have collections online. Yada yada yada. Explore that. Your mileage might vary. Typically, what I like to do is look at Szukaj w Archiwach, which is Search the Archives. It's the Polish website. It's very user-friendly. A little bit slow to load compared to what it used to be, but so let's say I was looking for the village of Damerow. I'm looking specifically for Alt Damerow, and I want it in the Seiziger Kreis. Guess what? There's 1,800 results. So what I can do is I can scroll down. I can eliminate it to whichever archive it should be under. In this case, it should be in Szczecin. Filter, and there's several different Kreis that is, Kreis that is going to cover. So I might need to do a little bit of digging and make sure that I'm looking at the correct one. For example, this here is telling me it's actually Damerow and Rugenwald. This is Damerow, but I don't know where it's from. Like, which one is it? So this is a collection of records from Alt Damerow, and Sassenberg. It looks like it's in files for Stettin. But if I don't know, like it says near Sassenberg, well, let's do Sassenberg. Let's go to Myers-Gaz, which is the easiest and best way to find out where things are located. What was it, Sassenberg? URG. And it looks like there's only two. One's in Bublitz, one's in Zatzig, so it's very, very likely that this collection of records here is for the Alt Damerow and Zatzig. But you can search for literally anything. I know colonist list was a question that came up. I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm just gonna type in colonist. Let's see if I can spell it. Kolonisten. And you sometimes need to get creative. It's either a C or a K, and it's not going to pull up both. So you might have to run two different searches. There's a lot of different archives that hold these. This is in Gorzów. It's Landsberg on the Varta. I don't even know where that is. You're probably going to want to like pick out which archives you want to look through for these. So if I pick just Koszalin and Szczecin, it's a fairly good guess. I can filter it, and then I can scroll through 430 results. So a lot of these you're not going to know what they're for. You can open them in a new tab, take a look. So this is for city files of Kolberg, and you're going to see the reference code. So 65 is Szczecin, or Stettin. The collection number 202, so it's going to be for Kolberg, and then the others can kind of help you get there. Let me just open this up and break this apart a little bit further. So we are in collection number 202. It was in series number 5. So if we open up series, we can see all of the different administrative levels, all the different collections they have. We know it was in 5, so we can explore through that collection level. And you can explore through and see what do they have. So in that collection, they've got 2 colonist files. They've got another one, so taxes. And if you're a little bored with this and you're like, there's nothing in there that is going to help me out, you can always go back to that level higher. For example, we've got Neuborg. You can click on that, and it's going to have records for that specific the colony, so even more records than what was included in the previous one, just because you found the correct collection to be looking through. And some of these are listed with their Polish names, so if you're not familiar with how they're spelling it, like Ustroni Morski is actually Henkenhagen. Not going to look like baggage, which is actually baggage. It looks very similar. So you can always look through here and find out other records that might not have been included in your search. Tons of military files, tons of different church files on here, manuscripts. I'm just going to breeze through a couple of these just to see what they have and kind of show them off. So Henkenhagen, different files that talk about the I guess, villagehood of Henkenhagen. You're seeing something about the Bauerlichen Werte in Henkenhagen, so probably going to have lists of farmers, list of landholders. Fischerlager. Okay, so in the area of fishing in Henkenhagen, so I know that was a question people had during the presentation today. If it mentions fishing, and it's something like this, you might end up finding a list of fishermen. And Henkenhagen being so big, we've got a lot of records in there. Give it a second to load. Goshino. It's thinking. There we go. So we're able to see all the files for Gross Justin, which, again, if you're doing a search on it, you might have luck, you might not, but now you're in the collection, you can see all the stuff they have within Szczecin. And it looks like there's a lot of them. Gross Justin was a fairly decent-sized village. I'd say that you might even be lucky and find kind of the villages surrounding Gross Justin in some of these as well, especially in like the Subha station. This is another question I got, was like knightly estates. I don't know to what extent Gross Justin was a knightly estate. I believe that belonged to like the church, or maybe the royal office. But you know, as they're parceling off the forework, well, the forework is all the villages that are in front of it. Sometimes instead of just Belgard has a village named Forework, but Gross Justin would probably name off those that are kind of right there in that immediate vicinity. And there's, what do we got here? We've got 37 files that you can look through. And you can always expand this and see a list of 200. Give it a second to load. And you can scroll through and find out everything that still exists for that specific area. Now, if we go back, you'll see there's other colonist lists. There's different collections. This one's in 36. Hackenwald, so somebody had mentioned kind of near Szczecin. Guess what? There's settlement files near there. This is in, should be kind of Golno area. Golno and Hackenwald are right next to each other. Collection number 92. I don't even have a clue what that one is, so you can open it up and you can see off to the side. This is going to be in the Szczecin collection, so that doesn't really help tell much of anything. Some of them will give you kind of like this. It's Kolberg, there's a specific village, and you can migrate through them. Yeah, so that's one way of searching. You can also search for the specific village. Depending on how popular the village name is, you may or may not have luck finding it. Earlier I mentioned Seeger. Seeger doesn't have much in the way of church records, so what do they have for land records? And this is one I had to do 3 different requests for. They have 347. Again, let's whittle this down to Koszalin, which is probably where they're going to have them stored. They're going to have some in Szczecin as well, potentially, but let's just narrow it down. So we've got Seeger, first Grundbuch, which starts in 1872. It's entirely possible with this collection that it's not going to include the early recess acts. It's entirely possible. So in other words, you're looking at just starting around the same time as civil registers. It might help you, it might not help you. Einschätzung, well, I have no idea what that means, but that sounds interesting. Let's copy it. Let's open a new tab. I am just going to go here and I'm going to do translate. And come to find out that it means assessment of the district. Ooh, cool. assessment. This might end up having people's names in it because it's an assessment from the 1860s. So maybe you get to work 10, 20 years back from the Stanislav if you haven't found anything. There's a Fleur book. These kind of hit or miss. I've noticed they're almost like property tax books in their level of interest. But sometimes you get really lucky. Sometimes there's a lot more information in them. And in this, we're able to see it's in the collection of the cadastral files for Koszalin. We can see the different series that they have, or the list of files. They've got 1,400 of them. They've got 175 series to it. So when it loads, we're likely going to end up seeing all of the different villages. This one's laid out different than you might find for Bellegarde. Look at that. They give you all of the different demarcations. So if you dig through and look there, you're going to be able to see these. So the recess files, the survey files, you're going to look at the tax files, so you're able to find whatever exists still for that specific village. And some of these are ones that I'm still pouring through and trying to get as many of these very selectively based on what doesn't exist anymore. So if it's missing a church book, trying to find ones that will cover that time period. So let's go back to search here. You're going to find a lot of other ones. And if you see that they're in collection 27, that's the one that you just clicked into. Here's one that's in 82, but this is for an individual with the name Seeger. You might find people specifically named in that village. These tend to be like teacher and government workers. Look at that alphabetical name for the marriage register for the Stanislav. So cool. Gemarkung, it's probably a map. Look down here, map of Catastralno. So yeah, it's a map in the cadastral files. This one is in collection 55. So that's a different collection. And if I look down, we're going to see this is in the large collection Koszalin of their maps. If you click through there, it's 27 to 63. Guess what? They've got 10,000, over 10,000 files of maps there. So you could potentially dig through and find which section of a map you'd want to have digitized and request that. It covers a large time span. These are not the only maps that they have, and I know that for a fact. Some are, I have no idea how the people who digitized the ones that I have in my possession got them. I don't know where they got them from. I mean, if it was from here, if it was from Jastro, if it was from some other archive. But they're going to cover various time periods. The ones that are of most interest are typically going to be your Rheinkarte, Rheinkarte of the Bauerlichen Werte. Basically lists all the farmers on them. And you're going to look at 53 pages of this. And this is just for Koszalin. And there's, change that there. Gemarkung, so that's another map, likely. Here's a disciplinarian act on the teacher Hackbart out of Seeger. Here's one that's a building and repairs file for the church and school building. I guess the better translation for that, Kuster translates to the sexton, so basically a school teacher. Roman, so you're able to see somebody who lived in Seeger. Nope, that's somebody named Seeger who lived in Roman. You're able to find general acts from Seeger. And the dates here are going to be super helpful for that as well. Maps, Rheinkarte, it's the Rheinkarte I was talking about. Those are usually fairly helpful. Motor roll, so these are going to be kind of in a sense similar to what you were looking at with property taxes. It's not necessarily a property tax, but it's going to give you details on the property and the owner of the property. These can be helpful. But yeah, this is typically how I search. And then lastly, just because I know recess documents are something that should be pretty, especially after my talk that I gave today, is something that people are probably wondering about a little bit. If you're looking for recess, you can type it in as recess or recess. Either way, doesn't really matter. You're going to need to search for both anyways. And you're going to find 10,000 files. And that's not even at the archive that I think we need to be at. So I'm just going to narrow this down. I know that Pustamin in Schlave has a recess act. There we go. So, no, that's in the Stettin archive. So let's do recess instead. Nah, it's not giving me anything. Let's try a different spelling. I know they don't always spell it correctly. We're going to close these out proactively because we've already gone over them. No, I need that one. Let's try recess with the Z. Because I know there's one in here. It's kind of hidden. I loaded too many things at once and I killed it. Your servers can't handle it. So I'm not finding what I'm looking for here. Let's just do sorry, the website's tweaking out a little bit here. All right, so we're just going to crash that web page. I'm just going to open this in a new tab. And we're going to look at, should be Pustamin, if it loads for me. Recently, the Polish servers, when you search for a lot of stuff, tend to bog down pretty quick. Never used to be that way. All right, so if I search for Pustamin, I've got 73 results. Again, I want to narrow this down. I want the one in Swoopsk. Here we go. So here's a Liegenschaftsbuch. book. Again, kind of an article of Verzeichnüss or similar to a Mutterroll or a cadastral document. This is kept in the cadastral collection for Schlave. And we see there's 900 files in it. You can kind of pick and choose by series if you want. Most of these should be pared down alphabetically, but you've got recess documents here, and this is that collection that I'm working on digitizing. So if you click inside there, there should be, I think, like 250 different recess documents. I think it's been a little while since I've looked at the collection. Sorry, 430 of them. So you can expand out the list, and you can see specific to Schlave exactly which recess documents they have. For many places, they have at least two. And you're able to scroll through and see the full list of them. You've got Zwölfhufen, Malco, so some of them are not going to be alphabetically listed. You can sort them by the name if you want to like just type it in there. And that'll narrow down to like Beversdorf, for example. But you can scroll through and find out like any of the collections that they have on them. These older ones tend to be the most interesting. This one looks like it's the whole history of Breitenberg from 1817 to 1934. If I scroll way down, I think it's on page 3. Page 3. No. Let's just try this. Page 2. I changed my entry numbers again. Bear with me for a second. If I click on page 2, it should load. And their website gets to be a little bit buggy. But you can scroll down and find, what you're looking for, even if it's spelt incorrectly. So I'm looking for Pustamin, and here we can see that they didn't spell it with an A like they're supposed to. They spelled it with an O. And we've got 3 recess documents, 4 potentially that could be of interest to my family history. So yeah, and then here's the signature that you'd want. You'd requested from Stolp or the Swoopsk archive, and yeah, basically, sorry, I'm rambling. Basically, a little bit of a crash course on how to dig into looking through things on Shuki Vierkivak and some of the other websites. Shuki Vierkivak is my #1 go-to, and this is the one that I would highly recommend to anybody who's looking to do family history, trying to find what's there. Many of these are not. So if I click on and open up the Pusterman book that I'm interested in, there's not anything that I need in it. It's not online. It shows that it's in the public domain, Creative Commons. There's no copyright on it, as far as I know. It means no copyright. And then, you know, if you wanted to request it, you could pull up that reference number, hire a private researcher to do it. You could email the archive directly and see if they'd be willing to do it for you. They used to be able to, and it's harder to now. They've got a bug on the website, but you should be able to order from here if you're logged in. Anywho, back to my website. I would strongly recommend, if you have anything you're looking for, scroll through the list of databases and resources. You'll find a ton of stuff. And if you want to do research on anything we have, see our inventory. This is where we list everything we have. And then if you want to see what we have and what other people have, we've partnered up with, sorry, that's an ad. We've partnered up with the Pomeranian Freistaat and listed their holdings as well. So if you want to see what's what and who has what, we're always looking to partner with other groups and basically keep these up to date so that if you're looking for something, even if it can't be digitized, guess what? Here it is. Here's who you can contact. Get in touch with them. Make it easy. Anywho, thanks for listening, and feel free to email if you have any questions or if you want to, kind of dig into it.